They told you Iron Dome stopped everything. They told you Israel is safe. They told you Iran fired and failed. Now look at the footage coming out of Tel Aviv. Look at the buildings. Look at the streets. Look at the fires burning in a city that was supposed to be the most protected urban target on the planet. And ask yourself one simple question. If the defense worked, why does it look like this? The answer to that question is what this entire video is about. And I promise you, by the time we are done here, you will understand this war at a level that most people watching the news right now will never reach. If this is your first time on this channel, we do one thing here. We cut through the noise and give you the real picture, not the comfortable one, the real one. Hit subscribe right now because what is coming next in this conflict is going to move fast and you need to be ahead of it. Let us start with the defense, because the defense is where the official story begins to fall apart. Iron Dome intercepted 90% of everything Iran fired. That number is real. That number is actually impressive from a pure engineering standpoint. But here is what that number does not tell you. Iran did not fire 10 missiles. Iran did not fire 50. Iran launched coordinated waves of Shahd drones and ballistic missiles timed specifically to arrive together from multiple directions at different speeds and different altitudes all at once. When you fire enough at the same time, the interceptor system runs out of reaction time. The radar cannot track every single target simultaneously. The interceptor batteries cannot reload fast enough between waves. The gaps open up. And through those gaps came the strikes that turned residential streets in central Tel Aviv into the footage you are watching right now. This was not luck. This was not random. Iran spent years studying exactly how layered air defense systems break down under pressure. They built this entire campaign around those breaking points on purpose. The result was buildings gutted across Tel Aviv, emergency teams responding in Bnei Brak, Ramat Gan and Petah Tikva all at the same time, 40 structures damaged in a single wave, 60 people wounded in one barrage, vehicles burned and overturned across multiple districts. The footage is not from Iranian state media. It is from civilian cameras, international news teams, and raw street-level video that leaked past military censorship before the authorities could contain it. And that censorship is the first sign that the official story and the real story are not the same thing. Now here is the part the West is not explaining to you, and this is where things get serious. Every time Iron Dome fires an interceptor, it costs money, a lot of money. A single Iron Dome interceptor costs tens of thousands of dollars. An Arrow interceptor costs millions. Now compare that to the cost of an Iranian Shahd drone, which is produced domestically at a fraction of those numbers. Every single intercept that Israel's defense systems make, no matter how technically impressive, is a financial exchange that benefits Iran. Iran spends cheap, Israel spends expensive. And that exchange happens hundreds of times per wave, and thousands of times over the course of a sustained campaign. Iran's missile production has not stopped. Domestic factories are running. Supply lines are working through trade channels and third country routes and partner arrangements that years of international sanctions have not managed to cut. The components arrive. The missiles get built. The drones get assembled. And the next wave gets ready. Meanwhile, Israel and the United States are running emergency airlifts to resupply interceptor stockpiles that are being consumed faster than they can be replaced under normal production schedules. You cannot build an Arrow interceptor the way you print paper. There are physical limits, manufacturing limits, supply chain limits, and Iran is designed specifically to push against those limits until something gives. This is the attrition strategy. Not destroy Tel Aviv in one night. Drain the defense over weeks and months until the stockpiles run low and the gaps in coverage grow wider and the strikes that get through start hitting harder and more often. The West knows this math. Western defense analysts know this math. And you are not hearing it clearly on mainstream news because the conclusion it leads to is not one that fits the narrative that Israel is winning and Iran is failing. Now the economic picture. because the missiles are only one part of what is breaking down. Israel's economy is taking damage that compounds every single day this war continues. Hundreds of thousands of reserve soldiers have been pulled out of a small, highly skilled civilian workforce. These are software engineers, logistics operators, financial professionals, technology workers. Every one of them absent from their job is productivity lost from an economy that cannot absorb that loss at scale. The GDP impact is not theoretical. It is showing up in real numbers right now. Tourism is gone, not reduced, gone. Hotels are empty. Airlines have pulled their routes. The international airport is running on emergency operations only. All the economic activity that tourism generates through accommodation, transport, restaurants, and retail has simply stopped existing. Foreign investment is frozen. Institutional capital is recalculating its exposure to Israeli assets and moving that money somewhere with a lower risk profile. The cycle this creates feeds itself. Less investment produces slower growth. Slower growth produces lower tax income. Lower tax income forces more government borrowing. More borrowing pushes interest rates higher. Higher rates push investment lower. And the whole loop tightens while government military spending is expanding at the same time in the opposite direction. This is not a temporary disruption. This is structural economic damage accumulating daily. And Iran designed the campaign to produce exactly this outcome alongside the physical strikes. The goal was never just buildings. The goal was the entire system. Military, economic, psychological, all at once. And on every one of those dimensions, the pressure is working. Now zoom all the way out. Because this war stopped being just about Israel and Iran a long time ago. The Strait of Hormuz is closed. That single fact is sending shockwaves through every economy on Earth right now. Oil is above $150 a barrel. Fuel prices in the United States are approaching numbers that create genuine political crises. Europe is looking at energy rationing. Asia is competing aggressively for limited supply coming through alternate routes. The global inflation that everyone feared is no longer a forecast. It is happening. And it is the kind of inflation that central banks cannot fix by adjusting interest rates because it is coming from a supply shock, not excess demand. There is no monetary policy tool that reopens the Strait of Hormuz. Governments across France, Germany, the United Kingdom, and the United States are watching their populations get angry about prices and economic pain that policy cannot address. That anger is turning into political pressure. That pressure is pushing leaders toward intervention options that carry risks far beyond anything currently happening. Direct military action to reopen the strait means potential confrontation with Iranian forces. Iranian confrontation risks drawing in Russian and Chinese support on the other side. And a conflict that pulls in major powers in direct opposition does not stay limited for long. Iran calculated all of this. The strait closure is not a side effect of the conflict. It is a deliberate pressure lever designed to make the cost of continuing to oppose Iran felt in every economy on Earth simultaneously. It is working. The numbers prove it is working. And the West is not explaining this to you clearly because explaining it clearly means admitting that Iran's strategic position in this conflict is significantly stronger than the official narrative suggests. So where does this go from here? And this is the part that nobody is saying out loud yet. Israel is sitting with two options, and neither one is clean. The first option is to keep doing what it is doing. Keep intercepting, keep striking Iranian targets, keep hoping that Iran's willingness to sustain this campaign breaks before Israel's interceptor stockpiles run too low to maintain effective coverage. The problem with this option is that the attrition math favors Iran. Iran produces faster than Israel can consume and resupply simultaneously. Time is not on Israel's side in a sustained war of this design. The second option is massive escalation. Strike Iran hard enough and fast enough to destroy the launch infrastructure before the interceptor stockpiles deplete to a critical level. The problem with this option is everything that comes with it. Regional proxy forces activating across multiple fronts simultaneously. The global economic disruption intensifying beyond its current level. Major power involvement shifting the balance in ways that Israeli and American military planning cannot fully account for. And sitting underneath all of it, the nuclear question that nobody wants to say clearly, but that every serious analyst is thinking about privately. Neither option ends this cleanly. And Iran has shown throughout every phase of this campaign that it is prepared for a long timeline. The pressure is not easing. The production is not slowing. The strategy is not changing. And the story that this conflict is moving toward a quick resolution that restores the previous order is not supported by a single piece of evidence on the ground. What actually happened in Tel Aviv is not just a military event. It is a signal that the assumptions this region operated on for decades have broken, that no target is guaranteed safe, that air defense systems have limits that a patient and prepared adversary can find and exploit, that economic pressure applied through the right choke points reaches every corner of the global economy, whether those economies are involved in the conflict or not, and that the gap between the official narrative and the ground reality is wider right now than at almost any point in this conflict so far. The full picture is not comfortable, but it is the only picture worth looking at. The next breakdown on this channel goes into the escalation scenarios that serious analysts are discussing privately right now. The triggers, the timelines, the decisions being made in rooms that cameras never enter. Subscribe and hit the bell, not for the algorithm, because this story is moving faster than the news cycle and the next development is not going to wait for you to catch up.